Welcome back to the live stream, everyone. We just had a great chat with Seth, and now we have with us our keynote presenters for today, Mofei, Lauren, Jack, and Joe. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us a little bit about all the exciting announcements you've all made today. And before we get started, I think I just want to ask each one of you, what is your favorite 19.2 feature? We've asked Seth. He had some interesting answers. You don't have to answer now, just think about it. But if you already have an answer, anyone? What is your favorite 19.2 feature?
Yeah, I'll take it. For me, it'd be performance tracks. I think, like as we see in the talks, Ruslan's is coming up shortly. It's just like one, super powerful to debug, and also super powerful to learn more about the way React works. Like when we're debugging things, we're actually using it ourselves, so it's pretty great.
Cool. Anyone else has a favorite feature?
I think view transitions are super cool.
Oh yeah.
It just really levels up the user experience that you can bring on the web. And I'm just super pumped to give it a try in my side project now. So,
cool.
Yeah, super cool.
Awesome. So let's get into some of the questions we had from our audience, unless anyone else has a favorite feature. Mofei? No? Okay. I'm guessing activity, but we'll see. So speaking of activity, a question that came from our audience today was, why is it called activity? Do we know, or did we just made it up?
So it's inspired by Android activity. I think it's like one, or at least one of the inspirations. That's like, just kind of an independent, sort of semi-independent unit, right? That can activate, deactivate, and just
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Naming is hard. Okay.
Okay. Well, next time let's find a more interesting name. Cool. So. View transitions are in Canary. People are wondering how to test it themselves. Just use the Canary.
Yeah, I think it depends on how exactly you're trying to test it. If it's just something you want to play around with, you can just install the Canary from the Canary release channel in a code sandbox or in any application. I know Next.js also has an experimental option within the config, and they have docs on their page. And they also, at some point, will ship the Canary, so you'll be able to use it there. And if you're feeling risky, just install Canary in your application and see what happens.
Cool. Well, let's move on to some compiler questions. There's still, a year in, there's still some questions about what the compiler is for. And one of the questions that came up was, is the point of the compiler for us to remove all memoization and callbacks, or just to catch instances where we've missed it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the idea of the compiler is that you don't have to memoize. The compiler does take into account existing memoization that you have. So, for example, if you have an effect and you want to make sure that it doesn't run more than it needs to, you may still want to manually memoize your effect dependencies. But in general, the idea is that you don't have to memoize. The compiler will take care of that for you. If you do have manual memoization, we try to maintain that and just add kind of additional memoization on top of that. So it's for the most part, you can just write code and not think about it. But if you do want to use memoization to really fine tune, you can, and the compiler will just do kind of an extra. It's up to you.
I also want to add that I think the compiler we expect to raise really the floor for all performance, to turn JavaScript into how we'd expect, if we had a language made for React, how we expect that language to work. So instead of your code always running, you kind of get reactivity by default, which is super neat.
Cool. So if you're on 17, 18, or 19, just turn it on. And worst thing that can happen is you're going to get some good stuff. Right? Okay. Cool. As long as you follow the rules of React, of course. Okay, another compiler question. So, of course, the compiler does a lot of stuff for us. And what's the trade-off? What's the catch? Is it using more memory? Is the bundle size bigger?
So in our investigations, we found that the compiler actually keeps memory usage neutral. One thing that you can expect to see is the bundle size increasing a little bit.
Okay.
Because the compiler compiles to like a lower level form of memoization compared to just you writing use memo, use callback. So like in terms of like pure lines of code, there's like much more. But there's also another interesting trade-off where because the compiler is doing a lot of very fine-grained memoization, even on initial render, we've seen that React apps will actually re-render components multiple times. Like for example, you have effects that need to flush. So despite there being like a slightly bigger bundle size, that trades off against faster startup because like that whole re-render loop for the just initial load is actually a lot faster as well. So a little bit more bundle size, slows down startup, but that is traded off against faster startup with actually running the code much faster. And we've seen that trade-off is actually positive, right? So it actually makes your app faster.
Cool. All sounds good all around. The best thing ever. Okay, we got a little question about the activity demo. In the movie app, what happens if a really quick user just clicks back to try to reveal the hidden tree before React finished rendering?
Okay, so this case you have like a really fast user. You have, the activity hidden render is updating the view that's not currently visible, and then we're now re-rendering to show navigating back to that view. So currently React will restart that render at a higher priority. Activity renders in what we call the hidden lane. This is lowest priority. Transitions, which is what you do for navigation, happens at a slightly higher priority. So we'll restart. This is not really ideal, but we'll restart the render at that higher priority. And this is also a state update, right? Because activity reads from the router. So now we'll propagate both kind of the color theme and the router state in that new render. Ideally, we'd be able to resume.
Ideally what?
Ideally, we'd be able to save the progress
yeah.
from the activity hidden render and kind of resume it with, just the router changes. That might be something we'll look into in the future.
I think one solution is probably just to make the users slower. Cool. Okay.
Reacts too fast.
Yeah. That's pretty much all we have from the audience. I have one last question for each one of you, just so our audience can get to know you a bit better. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but for each one of you, what is one thing about you, hobby, thing that happened, something in your life that doesn't come up in normal conversation and you think would be interesting for our live audience to learn about?
I guess, so my fun, not fun answer is that I think I'm a stereotypical software engineer. If you go to the Bay Area, everyone there is going to the bouldering gyms, they go to hikes on the weekends.
Okay.
Now they're starting to run.
Yeah.
That's me too. So I started bouldering when I started coding, and then started hiking after that, and now I'm getting into running just when it's getting trendy.
Awesome. Follow the trend. Sounds good to me.
My interesting fun fact is I learned how to code through Excel.
Oh, whoa.
I went to college for finance, not computer science. So my introduction to programming was going for this financial modeling class where my professor taught us how to do Visual Basic VBA macros for Excel. And then I was like, wow, this is so much fun.
Awesome.
And that was my introduction to programming, and
many
now
such
I'm here.
cases. I've heard a lot of people that started that way.
Wild, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Jack.
I'd say for me, my favorite hobby is skiing, which I'm starting to think more about as we get closer to winter. Maybe not so much as we're looking at palm trees in the sun right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting very excited for winter, hoping to get a lot of skiing in.
Cool. That's awesome.
Thing that doesn't come up in casual conversation. I lived in Japan for about 5 years.
Oh.
And speak Japanese.
Wow. So the affinity to languages is not just in the computer science aspect of it.
Well, I think that's actually pretty funny because so many people over the years on Relay team and React team have been bilingual. So we just seem to kind of attract Yeah.
Cool.
Do you speak a second language? No.
Unfortunately.
Attitude.
Okay, folks.
Yeah, not pulling your weight. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today and answering the questions of our live stream audience. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the nice, incredible, wonderful announcements today. I really liked all the cats, Lauren and Mofei. Yeah, I'll see you around here in the conference. Thank you, folks.